Good afternoon. This is Tyler Blott with Keller Williams Advantage Real Estate, joined by my host once again, Daniel Zavadny with ZCI Residential. And today, as our guest, we have Brittany Hurst with Puro Clean.
Hey
Uh,
guys.
so, Brittany, today we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the spring problems that your company deals with on a regular basis. And it sounds like from our previous conversation that has a lot to do with water in the basement. Is that right?
It does. And water just really, even in the house, it's not specific to basements.
Oh,
And if
okay.
possible, just give us a brief overview of, what all you guys do, and then go into, the seasonal issues we might be looking out for.
Perfect. Yes. So PuroClean, we handle all of your water, fire, mold, and biohazard emergency services. We strictly do the mitigation side of things. We leave the contracting to professionals like Daniel. So we do not handle any of that. The type of issues that we are seeing right now really have to do with issues both inside and outside of the home. Things as gutters that didn't get cleaned and have a lot of debris. They have caused water to trickle in, maybe from an ice dam or even just a siding issue. We've also started to get phone calls from hose bibs and spigots that are busting. People failed to remove those hoses over the winter. They froze, it backed up, caused a pipe break. They go outside on a nice day, wash their car for the first time, come back in, they have water in their house or in their basement, and they think, where did this come from? When they call us, we ask the simple question, did you water something, wash the car? And they say, yeah, how'd you know? Well, these are a lot of those issues that we're dealing with. We've also sadly got a lot of people spending more time at home, and they are doing some of those do-it-yourself projects that they really should probably be leaving to a professional plumber. Things such as switching out a toilet supply line. Yes, you can find those videos on YouTube, but that doesn't mean that you're tightening it nearly enough or the same length and distance that a plumber would do. So those are just some of the issues that we are dealing with right now.
So it really sounds like some of the first preemptive advice is if you're doing a job that a professional should do, you should hire a professional. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, step one, hire a professional. Again, don't always rely on those YouTube videos to help you out. If you feel that hiring a professional is not within your budget, within your means, definitely at least consult with one. Most professionals, especially this time right now that we're going through, they're more than happy to at least give you some sound advice. So I'd really encourage people, if it's something you want to try to tackle yourself, at least reach out to a professional.
Yeah,
I know, our BNI group is actually really good about just giving advice for the
Yes.
simple problems that we can fix ourselves. And that way, when we do get to those bigger problems, we know exactly who to call. We know they're going to take care of it right the first time, and we're not going to end up with multiple problems later on down the line.
yeah,
Exactly.
and that's one of our biggest goals to you, audience, is with this Ask a Local Expert. We want to bring you guys that value of the consultation of information from people you trust in your area that you might not be able to get, like she said, from YouTube. It's we don't know who made the video. You don't, you can't call them if you need them. That's our big goal here. So definitely get in touch with us for construction, for Tyler, for realty questions, Brittany for cleaning up any issues you have. We've got networks and people in place to hopefully help you deal with anything you need. So use this page as a resource. Contact us. We love it. That's why we do it.
So, Brittany, can you touch on some of the things that homeowners can do to be proactive about taking care of water problems before they arise?
Definitely. So step one, I always encourage people find and locate your main water shutoff. It surprises me the number of phone calls we get from a homeowner and we say, okay, have you stopped the water? And they say, nope, I have no idea where my main water shutoff is or how to find that. We get at least 3 or 4 phone calls a week where that's the answer we get back. So find your main water shutoff, tag it. We even have water shutoff tags that we would be more than happy to provide should somebody need one. Also, take the time to turn that valve off. They do rust out, and I assure you you do not want to find that you have a rust problem with your main water shutoff when you're trying to turn it off. We have had people call us where the valves have broken off in their hand and they weren't able to get it off. At that
Oh,
point, we
wow.
have to shut the water off at the street. Yeah, that's a much bigger issue.
Man.
But again, show everybody in the home. A lot of people are home right now with their families. Never discredit that even a 4-year-old child, if you say, okay, here, little Timmy, here's where the main water shutoff is, that will sit with them. They will be able to remember that. And again, if it's tagged appropriately, there's no reason that people shouldn't be able to find it. Those teenagers, they are handy. Show them where this main water shutoff is, explain to them how to locate it. If you have questions on locating your main water shutoff, again, feel free to give PuroClean a call or give one of our plumbers a call. I was going to say Mike would be more than happy to walk you through step by step how to locate that. The other thing that I encourage people to do this time while they're home, go around your house, take a look at things like windows, make sure that they are sealed properly. If not, call a professional. Take a look at what's going on and if there is water intrusion happening. Also start looking at supply lines, fridge lines. It's a great time to pull out that dishwasher and that refrigerator that behind there is probably dog hair, dust, maybe some Cheerios. Who knows what you might find back there. I encourage people to do that at least once or twice a year. Most people I know aren't doing it once every 5 years, but you're home. Get the family, go over some of this stuff, and really encourage people to do it. I also want people to understand where their fridge line and their ice maker lines are. We saw a bout of houses in the 80s where those lines were run up through the attic. Even a pinhole leak can cause a lot of damage if it's left uncaught or unseen until you get that nice big water spot in the ceiling and you think, where's that coming from? And you go to investigate and you find out this has been leaking probably for a year. So again, you're at home right now with everything going on. Take the time to investigate your own house and what water sources are around.
I mean, that's great. That's really great information. But let's say a homeowner does run into a problem where they now have water in their house somewhere. What are the typical costs associated with that, and what are some of the problems that can arise out of that?
Very difficult question to answer as far as what are some of the costs associated with that. So first off, we do not charge anything to come out and at least take a look. There are some people who are very handy. They are a natural do-it-yourselfer. If it's something small enough, we are more than happy to explain to them how to handle it themselves. However, if it's a little bit larger than what they want to tackle, or it's a homeowner that's not a do-it-yourselfer, we can definitely get them a price before starting the work. However, things that come into play, what type of flooring do you have? How much drywall is damaged? Is there drywall damage? Is it coming from the ground up? Is it coming from the roof in? Where's the water coming from? And again, step one is getting it to stop. So that's the first part of that question as far as what costs are associated. However, I always tell people water is typically a loss that's covered by insurance as long as it's sudden and accidental. And again, I'm not an agent. We have another expert who'd be more than happy to answer those questions. But a water loss is a much less expensive problem than a mold problem. And water left untouched, especially going into a spring and summer with high humidity that we see here in the Miami Valley, I would really encourage people get those water issues taken care of before that turns into a giant $1,000 mold job.
Yeah, and we talk about that, Tyler. I think that's come up almost every single episode is the mitigation beforehand, the being proactive, and like you mentioned, the gutters. Yeah, we need to call a professional when a professional is needed, but cleaning your gutters, checking your ceilings for water spots, that's something that people can do with minimal effort. I mean, as long as your roof's not too steep and you have a right ladder, that's minimal stuff, minimal cost
Right.
that can save you from huge expenses.
Yeah, that's definitely something we've heard time and again is the more proactive you can be in preventing whatever issues may arise, whether it's health issues or home issues, the less it's going to cost long term.
Yes.
You know, there might be that initial gut check of, oh, I actually have to spend a little bit of money to solve a problem, but compared to what the end result would be if you let it go untreated, it's significantly less.
Yeah, and this is Brittany talking herself out of future thousands worth of dollars, trying to give you guys good advice. So make sure you pay attention and make sure you actually implement this. Brittany, another thing you mentioned in your talk in our BNI group was about the plan for the family's fire safety and a couple of fire issues that you've seen. Would you want to touch on that? Because I thought that was really valuable.
Sure, definitely. So I always like to ask the question to people, do you know how many children have died in a school fire since the 80s? The answer is none. Why? Because they practice. They practice these drills. They know what is expected of them. They know how to do it. It's the same concept. Everybody is home right now. Get a fire safety plan in place and practice it. Practice it during the day, practice it at night, practice it specifically with those little ones. Children have a tendency to hide when they are afraid. You need to explain to them in the event of a fire, here's how you get out of your bedroom, and here's where I want you to go once you are outside. The last thing we want to do is have a parent inside looking for a child that is already out of the home. So please, please really talk to those little ones. Explain to them, if there's a fire, you're going to come to this tree. Mom and dad will meet you here. Also explaining to them, this is not a time to grab your favorite stuffed animal or the family pet. Mom and dad will take care of that. We promise. We just need you to get out. The other thing I encourage people to do is, if you are in a home with a second story, every bedroom needs to have a fire safety ladder. You can order these online. They're usually about $30, and again, depending upon what length of ladder you need. But please, please, please practice, talk to your children, make sure that you have working smoke detectors in the home. Renters, I always like to say, please double check those smoke detectors. The landlord is only responsible to provide that to you. They do not have to provide batteries. So make sure you're checking those things.
And you said pizza boxes are okay in the oven?
Absolutely not. I love the gentlemen who think that it's all right to throw a pizza box in the oven. They'll wake up the next morning and eat it. That's wrong on so many levels. The oven and the stove is not a safe storage space. Even if you have company coming over unexpectedly and you think, I'm just going to open this up and shove things in here, the number of fire jobs that we have seen as a result of that is of epic proportion. The other thing is, do not leave things on top of your burners. Again, pizza boxes, donut boxes, the kitchen towel. Pets are curious. Cats and dogs cause more fires than we would probably like to admit, because they jump up on that stove, they play with those knobs, they start something. The other thing, again, is small children. Children are curious. They reach up, they start turning things. Mom comes in, moves them along, doesn't even realize that they turned that burner on. We are all busy right now. We are all playing multiple different roles. I was going to say, Tyler, I see your little one at home. So a lot of us are just overwhelmed right now dealing with that kind of thing. So again, preventative measures are the best way to stop something from happening.
All right. Well, that was really good information. Daniel, do you have any other questions that you want to touch on?
So, Brittany, I know it was last episode or 2 episodes ago, we had Mike, you referenced him, the plumber on Waterworks. He talked about, sump pump backups and the batteries. Would you want to touch on that? And then maybe other plumbing concerns that you've seen, with the increase of kids and people at home?
Yeah, that's a great point. Sub pumps, definitely you want to make sure that you have a battery backup and that it's working. We see people where the power goes out, the sub pump goes out, they say, I don't know what happened, I had a battery backup. Well, when was the last time you changed the battery? Well, I've never changed it. Well, that's why it didn't kick on. You need to make sure the battery backup is working. The best way to do that is to unplug your actual sub pump, pour a bucket of water down there, and see if the battery backup kicks on. If you haven't replaced that battery in the lifetime that you've lived in the home and you've been there more than probably a year, you should probably look at replacing that battery backup. The other thing with flushables, right now we have gotten quite a few calls. Again, I keep saying it, but little ones are home and we've got more teenagers that are in the house. That means they are now using your toilet instead of the school toilet, and they are flushing things that were never intended to be flushed. Everybody was on this toilet paper hoarding, flushable wipes, so everyone's got a little bit too much paper product that they are using. The other thing is with little kids, I always say any child under the age of 6, they get those little cars, micro machines, Hot Wheels cars, and it is super fun and cool to see, look, if I just put it in and flush this, right down the handle it goes. Mom and dad are in on a Zoom call, so they have no idea what little Timmy is in the bathroom flushing down the toilet. And it is wreaking havoc. We've also seen those small paper Dixie cups. That's another example I love to give people. We had a child one time, instead of throwing it away, he was flushing it down the toilet because to him it was a paper cup. So again, talking to children and explaining to them, this is what should go down, this is what should not. This needs to go in the trash or the recycling. But everybody laughs. You really need to have those conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up Mike one more time. So after his episode that he was on, we had a garbage disposal issue like days later. And I called him. I was like, Mike, what should I do? He's like, we talked about this when I was on your show. There's a thing on the bottom. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm not paying attention. So, there's valuable information here. Brittany, I think that's all I had for you today. Tyler, was there anything else?
I think we touched on everything that we wanted to touch on. Brittany, we just wanted to thank you again for coming on and giving us the opportunity to kind of pick your brain and find out more about how we can really provide value to our clients. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, Brittany, how can people connect with you? Where can they find you? What's the best way?
They can find us on Facebook, on LinkedIn. They can give us a call at 937-401-9700. That's my office direct number. Again, you can even just go out to the internet and we are there, PuroCleanDayton.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Tyler.
Have a good
All right,
one.
thank you.